right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Poetry's Paradise. I'm your host, King Atterbury. And right here we have our guest, Mr. Lloyd Blackstone Leitch. I mean, brother, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Salutations to the family and to the king. Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. My name is Lloyd Blackstone Leitch of the Painter on Picasso, the Ascension of a Positive Mindset.
All right. There you have it. Right there, author and poet. You know what I mean? So let's get into the proceedings and why don't you let everybody know where you from and what you got going on, you know what I mean, as an author and poet.
Well, where do I start? Uh, I'm a normal person from humble beginnings. I'm originally from Guyana, that's in South America. I was born in a two-parent household. My mom now deceased. My father, he's still alive. You know, I am the fifth child of seven children belonging to my dad. So, you know, I reside now in the United States. Shout out to Queens. So that's about it for now.
Hey, that's what's up, you know what I mean. So your book, Paint Your Own Picasso.
Yes, go ahead.
Let us know, brother, how'd you get that incorporated into your life to get that book published, and what was the whole breakdown? I mean, let us know.
I
Well,
follow.
me and the audience out there.
Okay, so I will see how I can concise it and give you guys a scope of Painter on Picasso. So about 4 years ago, while I was working, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And I was just about rebuilding my life, getting my life together. And in October of that year, I was diagnosed with the disease. It came as a shocker. I did the normal routine protocol. I went to the colonoscopy specialist and what's not. Come back, I tested positive for cancer. Uh, just a side note, my mom, she passed originally from the same disease. So I started the routine. I got signed up to take chemo and all that good stuff. And during my chemo years, I think it was like in 2022, as I'm taking the chemo, I lost a lot of weight and stuff like that. And I can remember Painter on Picasso. I'm laying on the bed, I'm at home, and I heard this voice say, write a book. Now, mind you, I can write essays and stuff like that, but writing a book was a whole different genre that I didn't step into. Anyways, the voice came to me again, write a book. So I'm laying there, I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to approach this? And before I can ask the other questions subconsciously, the voice said, write the book, but embody the book from the perspective of a first person so that the listeners, the readers, whoever come into contact with it can get some inspiration to change their own lives and to give, I would say, the readers a taste of what it's like being a cancer patient on the other side. So I followed the voice. It's crazy. I picked up my phone. I started writing the book. The book was finished in a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I wrote the book actually on my phone. I didn't even use my notepad, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, the rest
That
is
is what's
history.
up. So what was like the basic lowdown on it? I mean, with you being a cancer patient, and much prayers out to you, my brother. You
Thank
know,
you.
between going through that, the process of your health,
Mm,
and getting that corrected and everything,
mm.
like what you writing, you know what I mean? Like where was your mind at and everything like that? Like, to stay steady on course, to say while you're
Mm,
going through your troubles,
mm.
to say, let me get the writing about all this.
Good question. Good question. I mean, it's for me pretty much. It's pretty much simple. Um, I reflected on life from the perspective of, you know, a lot of times different people go through different struggles, different setbacks, and different trials within their own lives. And it's difficult sometimes to bounce back, if you understand what I mean. So while I was laying there, I think I thought of myself dealing with the cancer, and I even embodied the idea of beating the cancer. So I took the initiative from the perspective of, you know what, I cannot be the only person that is going through something like this. And given the fact that I'm a man too, you know, we hear a lot of stuff about breast cancer awareness and stuff like that. I wanted to be, I would say, a beacon of hope, inspiration, and motivation to those struggling with any type of disease, sicknesses, or illness. And I would say the people really was the biggest motivation behind me even putting pen to paper. I would say I was a little, you know, nervous at first, just putting the story out there. But
Right.
I'm gonna put it this way: if the universe got something for you to do, you just got to do it.
Amen, brothers.
Yeah,
I know that's right, man.
yeah.
You know, you also write poetry, also. You know,
I recently started to dabble in it a little bit.
hey, everything comes from the heart, mind, and
Yeah,
soul. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So, you know, once you dig deep into that aspect, you know, everything comes in a great fold, you
yeah,
know. So
yes.
if there's anything that you can speak out to other people about
Mm,
finding out and being diagnosed with cancer, what is the information that you can pass on to others, you
mm,
know, while you're going through your trials and tribulations to let them know, like, look
mm.
into things, to be proactive, you know?
Good question. Well, first off, I will say, you know, when you reflect on the name of my book, Paint Your Own Picasso, the ascension of a positive mindset. If I were to give people, I would say, some sort of hope or inspiration, your life is your journey. And when I got the name Paint Your Own Picasso, I realized in that moment that each and every one of us are painting our own journeys or Picasso as we move through this thing called life.
Right.
So if you're going to paint a picture, why not paint the best picture? And there's where the ascension of a positive mindset comes from. So, in as much I would say I was in a dark place dealing with the cancer, I think it's my positivity, and I will share that to each and every one of you guys that is listening or around the world. Believe in yourself. Have a positive mind in the most adverse of circumstances and situations, and you will be amazed of what can happen. And I'll leave this also. Never had I envisioned being on a podcast and writing a book, but there is power in the mind.
Yeah, power in the people also, man. You know, connections and everything, that's a beautiful thing when you connect and vibe off with others that
Yeah,
introduce you to others. It's like a whole collective, you know what I'm saying? Broadband in a community of,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying, love, respect, and
That's right.
admiration for others.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So, I mean, me and you've had off camera conversation.
that's right.
I mean, through the, you know, the old school, each one teach one. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like I said, much praise to you, my brother. You know what I mean? Because you inspired me to look at a better outcome, you
Why
know,
not?
within my own experiences and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, man. You know, how do you feel on spirituality while going through the circumstances?
Well, shout out to my sister, Miss Ida Leitch. I'm shouting her out. I would
Shout
let
out
me
to
start. Let me start right there. I remember when I was having my symptoms. I did mention it to my sister. She was a nurse from back home over 10, 15 years. And immediately she's like, yo, I'm going to schedule you a colonoscopy. Something doesn't look right. So I would say many shout out to my sister. She has been a great sense of support and a strong sense of encouragement along the journey. But to answer your question to the spiritual aspect, I will say that the cancer came out of the blue, you know, and a lot of the times when we were living our own individual lives, we try to focus on our goals and our ambitions and stuff like that. Never did I even envision as a young man in my 30s, having being plagued with the disease of cancer. So you can imagine the mental state, it placed me. But within the spiritual aspect of things, I think I looked at life from the perspective of we are perfectly imperfect. So it's not within, I would say, these are my thoughts, within the realm of man to think you are void of any problems, of any situations, of any things happening to you. So from that, I would say aspect, I had a silent prayer to the universe. I said, I don't know what my purpose is. What's the mission that you have at hand for me? But I am open to be an instrument of positivity, motivation,
Right.
inspiration, and love. So that's where I'm at mentally with that.
Hey, that's what's up, man. We all have to keep that peace level up and
Yeah.
embrace and throw our prayers out there
Mm.
to be filled with the blessing that we receive. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
also, when you give to others on that, you also receive that back tenfold. You know what I mean?
Of course. Of course.
You know,
Of
but,
course.
can't think on the negative aspect of things. Just gotta stay within the light of everything. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow, but when you hold on to your faith and everything,
Yeah.
there's nothing that you can't do. And plus, having a strong support system. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes. A support system is everything. You know, I am from a Christian background because I grew up in church from back home and stuff like that. My mom, like I said, now deceased, she was a pastor, and she was one of them old school religion type, you know. So she believed in her God pretty much. And she always had, I would say, she also is a very big inspiration. She had a positive energy. No matter the situation or the circumstance, she always had a positive energy. My dad, growing up as a young man, I seen him as a resilient, and he's always a problem solver. He's always a thinking man. Shout out to my dad, you know.
Odell, peace.
And also, not last but not least, it would be disingenuous of me not to mention my uncle, Mr. Junior Damon. We lost him about a year and a couple of months ago. That was my mom's brother, but he had an unconditional love for us as his nieces and nephews, and he will be sorely missed. And he was another positive, I would say, force to be reckoned with. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
shout outs to the ancestors.
no doubt. Always on that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because we live off the strength of their shoulders. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So that's right there on that. So right now, can you share some inserts from your book? Page
Sure, no doubt. Sure, no doubt. Okay, let me see. So, the book is Paint Your Own Picasso, The Ascension of a Positive Mindset. You can get your copies on Amazon. And just for sentimental reasons, I got the hardcover for the older folks, the paperback, and I got it in e-version for those that got a tablet or a Kindle. So you guys can check it out. This evening, I'll be reading I'm going to read one of my favorite chapters. This chapter is called Time and Patience, and this is chapter 40, page 99. This chapter is dedicated to all those who come into contact with Father Time and Mother Patience. Someone once said there's no such thing as time. It is only relevant and relative, to the spaces or space we operate. We live in a world where everything and everyone appears to be on the go. Late for this, too busy for that, swallowing meals. It is with much conviction I emphasize the importance of taking the time to embrace and acknowledge your existence. Stop being a well-oiled machine and do some self-management and maintenance. Real wealth lies within the fabric of our makeup. Have a conversation. Take a walk in the park or swim in the ocean. Time is always limited and death is sure. Patience is the key. It unlocks many doors as well as create opportunities and avenues for success. How many times have I not heard or have been told, have a little patience? Every time it has been said, we tend to get more upset and frustrated. It is at these moments that we must try to channel our energies in the direction that will lead to favorable outcomes. Frustration is one of our biggest enemies. This prevents us from succeeding. We focus on anxiety, uncertainty, and the unexpected. This inadvertently creates doubt, fear, and inadequacies. As you move along this terrain of life, try your best to reflect on patience as a safety mechanism or even protection from the unforeseen. Finally, always remember perspective is key. Be your best, do your best, and forget about the rest. This is called Time and Patience from chapter 40 of my book.
Hey, that's what's up, man. Thank you for sharing that with the audience out there,
Yeah.
so they know what they can get involved with when they go out there and purchase that book off Amazon.
Sure, why not?
You know, it's a blessing. I mean, I dabbled inside of the book, and this is
Okay.
one of those books where I choose to take my time and read, so to better understand
Yeah, you got to take your time.
the mind of the author.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's very, very intriguing to me. I mean, I'm reading at nighttime, and I'm like, wow. So, like I said, I'm going like line by line, like,
Okay.
wow, this brother is, oof. I'm like, I can't wait to get to the back, you know what I mean? But to finish it, but like I said, time is of the essence. You know what I mean? Patience. Patience is a virtue. So
Well, just a side note, to those who actually go to get their copies, take your time with it. Savor the flavor, treat it like, you're preparing a special dish and you got to set the marinade so that you can have a nice finished product. I wrote the book, like I said, from the first person, embodying the journey. So, because I wanted people to walk the journey with me to have a more in-depth analysis. I could have written the book from, I would say, a storytelling perspective, but I think the world already is saturated with a lot of that perspective. Why not keep it real, keep it authentic, keep it as, original as it can be, because I believe it resonates different. So one of my friends from back home, she said the book is not a lot because it's not a very thick book, as you can see. But she said it's a lot. And I remember her saying that like 7 times. So I think it's doing the task that it set out to do.
hey, that's what's up right there. I mean,
Yeah.
very well spoken on. You think you can provide us with some poetry?
Sure, why not? Why not?
Hey,
But
man, embrace what you are, man, author and poet. You know what I mean? So, you know,
just
a little
before
bit of this, give us a little bit of that. You know what I mean?
all right, I'm gonna do some poetry for you guys. Actually, I actually wrote a poem just for this interview tonight.
Okay, that's what's up. That's dope.
So this poem is called Spotlight. Hope you guys enjoy. Lights, camera, action. You're on the main stage, about to do your part, hopefully leaving the audience amazed. The spotlight is on you, and you're trying hard not to mess up. like a student taking their finals. The clock stopped. It's time. You hand the test up. Standing under the light, it's okay to be nervous. Trying hard not to forget your lines and your verses. As you begin to execute, the words flow naturally. Like an untapped spring, the flow untamed. The floodings are coming in ferociously. As you gain your groove and your talents gain momentum, you're relaxing yourself to be used, a vessel, instrumentum. Eruption from the crowd, an unexpected standing ovation. The feeling is surreal. You became the exception. Roaring and cheering from the arena, a champion emerges. From the depths of his struggles, setbacks, and trials, victoriously triumphant, void of denials. Finally, stepping out of the spotlight and leaving the stage, the crowds are left in awe. The people are left in a daze. This is called Spotlight by yours truly.
All right, all right. Let's give a little snaps up in there. You know what I mean? Word
Yeah,
up.
hope
So
you like.
what gave you the momentum and the inspiration
Yeah.
to write that piece?
So, well, like you did say, you and I had conversations off camera about doing the interview and stuff like that. And I had a couple of other poems, and I'm thinking, what can I bless the audience with? What's a fitting poem to share with the people? And then again, the inspiration comes naturally. Like you said, when you start writing certain things, just the flow, the universe just, flows with you.
Right.
And right away, when I thought about a poem to do for the podcast, Spotlight, because you're always under the spotlight. And
Right.
then I started writing it, and it came naturally.
Hey, that's what's up. That's
Yeah.
fly right
I
there.
hope you like it.
I'm pretty sure they will, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Let's keep rocking it out with that. I have another question also.
Go ahead.
While you're on your medical journey,
Yeah.
is there like, are you into like modern medicine or holistic medication that's helping, your health situation?
So I would say I'm originally from most people say the Caribbean side of the world. So I would say that, but I'm from the South American side of the world. We all got the same culture pretty much. So we tend to cling more to the holistic version of medicine and stuff like that. But I would say being on the journey, I've been dabbling and trying a lot of stuff, to help me overcome the disease that I'm dealing with.
Right.
So apart from me taking the chemotherapy, I have been trying to research and find out other alternative medicines that can help assist me to bounce back.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Brother, you definitely high spirited with everything. You know what I mean? I've seen and come across others in my endeavors of moving around, and some people like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
your spirit is like vibrant, kid. You know what I mean? Like your frequency level is up there. You know what I'm saying? Up where the satellites is at. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's a good thing, man. Like I said, on our conversations and you never in a downing mood. You just always alive. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say shout
Beautiful
out
thing to
to
see. You know what I mean? And here.
yeah, yeah. To answer to that, me having an upbeat attitude and a positive energy, I remember shout out to Joanne Blackwood Stephen. I know she's in the live somewhere. I remember one time she and I had a conversation, and she said something to me, and you got to give honor where honor is due to the people that are in your life. She said, you can't write a book about positivity and you're not positive. And I'm like, you know what? I can't even fight with that. That was on point, and she was on point with that. So I would say I took it and I ran with it because that's who I am. I try my best. So my friends and family that know me, I try my best to always have a positive outlook and a positive vibe or energy or aura or whatever you guys want to call it, you know, because outside of that, what do you have? You could either be optimistically positive
Yeah.
or optimistically negative. But I would choose, yeah, I would choose to be positive. That's what's up.
So so basically, to my belief, you have a tribe. You're part of a tribe out here.
Well, they say it takes a village. You know, that's an old. I think it's an old African saying. It takes a village to raise a child. So me being a part of a long, I would say, a long lineage of the ancestors, I understand the importance of the village.
Right.
So me being able to even have this conversation with you, it was a lead up of things that happened before. So special shout out and thank you to each and every one of you that helped make this journey possible, and even the journey with the book, bringing the book alive.
Amen. That's what's up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Hey, I'm just happy that you did it. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, I'll be putting more reviews up about the book. You know what I'm saying? Once I'm in completion, you know.
sure.
And I'm also happy. Shout out to Joanne. You know what I mean? For creating the link
Yeah,
between you and I. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
you're a brethren, man. You know what I mean? The tribe is alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you, man. Can you give us another poem?
Sure. Why not?
I mean, this is poetry's paradise.
Yeah,
You know what I
poetry.
mean?
Uh,
This is the
I,
this is the new safe haven for all poets, beginners, intermediate, and professionals,
that's
veterans,
what's
whichever.
up. That's what's up.
So
Right.
hey,
You know, I had to come prepared for the king because I know he catches you on spot. So let
yeah,
me
my element of surprises sometimes.
I hear that. I actually did another one when I wrote Spotlight. So I think
Okay,
the audience is going to appreciate this one. This poem is called How Dare You?
okay.
Here it goes. Sitting with my thoughts and minding my business. Disillusional forces on the prowl, wanting to upset my peace. How dare you, dark entities, trolls, demon spawns? Your assignments are futile. Mutiny in the camp. Henchmen self sabotaging their regimes from within. Their agendas to destroy me prove shaky as their foundations collapse under its weight of negativity. How dare you have the audacity to try and obstruct greatness from happening and prophecy from being fulfilled? With secret envies, jealousy, and hate towards an ordained and scripted being originated since inception. How dare you try to dim the light to welcome chaos? Every hit became a miss, repositioning a new level unlocked. Frustrations ensue as plans are in shambles. Executions fall apart before even given life. How dare you touch the legacy of the ancestors, for they laid the foundations which paved our ways. How dare you go about your biz and be at peace? This poem is called How Dare You by yours truly.
That's what's up, man. That was deep. That was strong, man.
Hope you guys like it.
Reflective on that. So, what brought you into the course of action, describing that piece right there? I'm going to ask that question.
Oh man,
Break it down for us, man. Give it to us,
how
man.
dare you? What inspired How Dare? So my dad often says life is the greatest teacher. That's one of the things he always said to us growing up in the home, my brothers and sisters and I, he always uses that phrase, life is the greatest teacher. And he also uses another phrase just for the audience. Listen, there is no manual for life. So you guys, I hope that can resonate with you. There's no manual for life. It leads and we follow. So how dare you? How dare you was inspired by everyday life. Sometimes you're sitting, you're chilling, whether you're at work, you're on the train, you're going to college or whatever. And you have sometimes people, dark forces, entities come and try to upset your peace. We usually say, when you're in a zone, that's the phrase everyone can.
Right.
I'm in my zone. Once I'm in my zone, you're vibing with yourself. And then you always have that unsuspected person or entity or thing or whatever comes to upset your peace. So sometimes I would say this poem is more for the older folks. How dare you? You get the drift? How
Yeah,
dare you
that's how
come
they
to
say
upset
that.
my... Yeah.
How dare you when
How dare you?
how dare you come into my personal space? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So hey, that's what's up though, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a
See,
little bit of inspiration from there. And also, when you're a kid and the grown people talking and you try to slip in and listen to conversation, how
yeah,
dare you get at the back?
definitely. That's always been that way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So where do you find your inspiration to start writing? Is it things just come across to you and then you just like, yo, I gotta jot this down, while the thoughts is there,
Mm.
while the appearance is like not vague, but it's like very strongly upon you?
Well, I think the inspiration comes the greatest inspiration. The inspiration comes naturally from my mother and my father. Like I said, my mom was a very loving and kind woman. And I would say she embodied the whole aspect of femininity. And my dad, a very strong masculine man, you know. So, as I would say, the next generation of kin, I think they left a legacy where I have great shoes to fill. So, so I would say, the inspiration with the writing comes from them. Like I mentioned, my uncle, my friends. Shout out to Rayvon Passad and Tevin Cummins. Shout out to Richard Spencer. You know, I have a lot of people around me that I can say I draw inspiration from. But the greatest inspiration I do believe comes from life.
That's
Life.
what's up.
So life and experiences, are your greatest teachers. But I will always say I think one of our biggest struggles as human beings is that we don't pay attention. So once you start paying attention to your friends, your families, your loved ones, then I would say a lot the universe reveals a lot to you,
Yes,
and then you can move accordingly.
that's true. That's how we all have to move accordingly out here in this world. And people can't forget neither that health is wealth. So you got to pay attention to certain aspects,
Yes,
the
most
changes,
definitely.
the
Mhm.
changes in your body,
Yeah.
and some things you might go, oh well, that ain't nothing. I don't think nothing severity on it. I mean, but
Mhm.
it's always those little things that can lead to other things.
No doubt, no doubt.
You know,
Mhm.
so those out there, some of the men, this ain't against the women and nothing like that, but you're a man just like I, who
Mm,
battling their own thing.
correct.
What is it that you can tell some of the men out there with a piece of information? I'm not gonna say advice, you know what I mean, but given that information that they can strongly pay attention to, because sometimes them little things people be like, well, it ain't nothing. I mean, like, so I'm just asking you, my brother, so you can
Sure,
let us
sure.
know why you.
Mm. All right. Well, first, let me start off by saying a big inspiration. I didn't know I didn't mention this before. A big inspiration of me even putting pen to paper and writing this book was for the men, because we know when it comes to sickness and diseases or illnesses or whatever, there's this stigma that men don't like to go at the hospital and don't go and get checked out,
True facts.
And we grew up in I would say, in a society or at a time where a cold shower fixes everything when you're a man, right? You get a headache, you take a cold shower, a back pain, you take cold showers and stuff like that. But, being a younger man and having the disease that I would say affect me, I had to take myself serious. So encouragement, or I would say inspiration for all men out there, there is only one you. Let me start right there. There is only one you. You are needed, you are wanted, you are appreciated. And if you think of it on a more logical perspective, I am grateful that I had my father within my life, because I understand, being an older man now, what his absence means. So my mom used to say, her favorite words as a pastor, she used to say, leadership by example. Leadership by example.
Right.
I have grown into an older man, and I understand the weight of those words. Leadership by example. So I would encourage all the brothers out there, don't give up on yourself. Life is not without struggle. It is not without trials. It is not without task.
Right.
Keep your head down, stay focused, and be the best version of yourself.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thank you for that. You heard it live on Poetry's Paradise.
Yeah.
Lloyd, Blackstone Leitch.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I mean, and let everybody know where they could check you out at. You know what I mean? So
Sure, sure. Why not?
media, you know what I mean? Promote yourself, brother. You know what I mean? Advertisement.
So for Instagram, you guys can find me at Blackstones _legacy _. I'm gonna say that again: Blackstones, BLACKSTONES _legacy _. TikTok, you can follow my page at Blackstone 709. That's Blackstone 709. YouTube, I got a YouTube page that I share, pretty much of everything. That's Lloyd Leitch 4662. That's for YouTube. I mean, if you guys like what you heard and stuff, and you want to support the brother, I got a GoFundMe page. You can check it out. Just type in my name on the screen. And I also got a Cash App page. That's $ Blackstone's Legacy. So you guys can find me all over pretty much the internet.
Right. That's what's up. That is what's up. Well, brother, I appreciate you coming through. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
Giving us those wise words of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Through the Each One Teach One program. You know what I mean? It still exists out there, you know what I mean? Even though it's from back in the day, we still here in 2025. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what's up.
Keep things alive and alert. You know what I mean? Author and poet Lloyd Blackstone Leitch, thank you for coming in and
Thank you for having me.
giving us the best of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Sharing is caring.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all, you know what I'm saying, on another episode of Poetry's Paradise. Stay tuned. You can check me out, JW Atterbury, on TikTok. You know what I mean? JW Atterbury on Instagram. So there's always going to be some type of notifications. Joel Washington Atterbury on Facebook. And we'll see you soon. Peace.
Good job.